I'm checking back in case you have missed my announcement that I've sent my book off, then yay! So that book, Bim and the Brass Band on Silent Island, the dummy has been sent now to this commissioning editor that now has a new publishing house. So I've already announced that, but in case you have missed that, again, that was it. That's a great step, but now obviously once you've submitted a big project, the feeling, I didn't even feel like so great. It just felt natural that this is just a natural step. Obviously now that the dummy is finished, that's to send it off. And then also to let go, because I feel like if I now would do nothing and just wait, it would feel horrible. And then when a rejection would come, which is possible, then I would feel shattered because I have nothing else. So I think to work on several projects is really valuable. And I think that's what I'm going to do now. I have actually used several books that are in different stages of development. This is one that I finished to the dummy stage, but I'm not so happy with it anymore and I would like to work on it similar to the previous one. If you have not seen the vlogs, I have a few in my channel that show my process from my previous book, what I've changed to send it off again. And sometimes we just change, our style changes, our life changes, and we maybe want to work on our books again if they've not made it to publication yet. And I think that's absolutely fine and actually nice to refine a book. Anyway, the book I'm working on now is one that was my final project in uni. This was my, it's called How Maud Met Anne, and that is about Lucy Maud Montgomery and how she got her book, actually probably her most famous book, Anne of Green Gables, published. I think many of you will know this, and if you don't, please check it out. It's a beautiful book series, actually. And I thought that I don't actually really appreciate the title that I have made. Now we're looking at my portfolio online on my website. Sorry for the glare. Here is a book I'm going to work on, but I'm not quite ready yet, if I'm honest. It's just somehow I'm still trying to figure out how I want to talk about it. And this is the book, How Maud Met Anne, that I want to work on a bit more. And this is the cover. And yep, I think it's just now. I already knew this, but now the more I look at it, the more just stiff Anne looks in this. And as sweet as it is, I don't think it shows anything of Maud. And I do like it, but I feel like it could maybe get either just relaxed, a bit more loose, less stiff of a pose, which I think I will do anyway because I just really like this character. And this was done in color pencil back then. And these were the different cover options that I've had. Let me show this to you. This was one option, just have both characters, so the author and her creation, so to speak. This is Maud, this is Anne. Them looking at each other through the mirror. Because I do feel that Anne is a bit of a reflection of what maybe Maud would have liked to live, the life she would like to live. And this is a different one of maybe Anne, I think, going to Green Gables. Again, I think these maybe are better for the actual book itself, not for my book about talking about the publishing process of Anne of Green Gables. So these were options, and I think I might even have a few more. This is the whole, all of this. These are my color palette. Oh my goodness, I have so many pages because, like I said, this book is technically speaking finished and ready to send off as a dummy. But I feel like the cover, I don't know, could do some work. So I think that's my next focus for the next season of my life, is to work on this book and refine it a little bit more, and then also find someone to send it off to, or have it ready for the literary agency if I do find someone. It's the next day and I couldn't help but work on it last night. This cover, I don't know, I just had an idea just before we kind of closed the day, the kids went down and we watched a movie. We're watching through the whole Harry Potter series again, which I absolutely love. And I'm trying to celebrate autumn and dark days with watching movies more now that the kids go to bed earlier and also sleep better, a little bit better. Anyway, I worked on this cover. It's just, sometimes you have an idea, and if you jot it down quickly, you will be surprised like what comes out of you sometimes when you have a bit more rest. I think forcing out ideas doesn't always work, at least not for me. And I want to show you this cover now. Let me just switch camera. So, do you remember I showed you the cover before with the little Anne standing there, kind of a little bit stiff? this is a new idea I have. So not necessarily the typeface here, the typography, the layout of the text, I'll have to think about it, but Anne and Maud looking at each other. I feel like that is maybe a moment I would like to keep. So this has gone through a little bit of development, but this was my initial idea. I'll just quickly show you the replay of this. So I started with these two. So that's what it actually looks like. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do it again. Then I had the idea of like, what if I draw something like this? What if they are facing each other the opposite way, but it looked a bit funny. And then I added these letters and like flower petals. So I'm thinking maybe this whole thing will drop a little bit and the letters will flow more like this way and the flower petals more from the bottom, like that. So kind of to embrace the image a bit more. But because they look at each other, I feel like it works a little bit better than the other version that I've tried. Let me see if I can find it. This one. I don't know, it just doesn't... Sometimes you see kind of images where, you know, characters look in this way and that way. It's weird. I don't know, somehow it's just... Maybe if they would look at each other, but the whole chemistry here, like, I don't know if that's the right word, but there's no emotional input here. They just look beyond each other, and I just feel like this doesn't really have any power. The other one I tried was this one, and you see Maud working away, and then, you know, getting all these letters of rejection, and then eventually forming that character and sending that off. And after turbulent, not so turbulent, but like, you know, a long journey, this book then gets published. But I don't know. I mean, this book is clearly a bit more for older children. I'm almost wanting to say it's more for other writers and adults, you know, who have this wish to publish something, and just want to see that even, you know, one of a really famous and clearly successful author, also the journey she had to go through, and the story behind this beautiful book of Anne of Green Gables. So it's not necessarily for children, although it can be read to children. I feel like one book I have is more for kids. Bim is definitely, you know, can be read to children, no problem. But the other two books I have, they have a bit more content that might be a bit more relatable to, to adults or teens. But anyway, we'll see. This, I just feel like, yes, it's interesting, but would I pick up this cover if I see this? I don't know. What do you think? Do you have a preference? I personally, like, maybe there's something could be done with this. I was thinking maybe she could look onto, you know, her typewriter, like things that relate to her. Oopsie, sorry. And maybe things that relate to Anne on this side to make it visually more interesting. And then I have, like I said before, this one. So that one was without the letters. It's just very clean and nice. Could be left like that. Or have something kind of like a decorative element. But I do like it. Does it look like a picture book title? A cover for a picture book? I don't know. It looks almost more like, I don't know, middle grade, maybe young adult. Maybe it kind of doesn't really hit the target audience here if it would be aimed at young children. But because it isn't, I'm wondering if this would be attractive and would I pick this up? And does it look like there's a romance going on? Because that's not what I want to show. I want these two to just discover each other. They meet each other, so to speak, indirectly, because she's the author. This is her creation. And she expresses herself through Anne and her story. So it's a complex, I feel like it's quite complex, you and your creation. I'm sure there could be like a whole philosophical discussion about this. Anyway, this is where I'm at right now. Do I like this more than the one that I showed you before? Maybe. It just brings Maud more into the picture, whereas before I didn't have that. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? That's where I'm at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I have to say today is one of those days where I just have a very short time to myself, and the desire that I currently have is to relax and rewind, because kids will be back soon and then I'm back to mothering, and I do have to say that I enjoy it so much more and have such like much better ideas of what to do with them. Things just come to me. It just feels natural. Everything flows when I'm rested, and I feel like if I just, although I like work, if I just focus on this and if I happen to get frustrated, either that I have to stop because I'm enjoying it or because it's not working well and, I can't continue working on it to make it better. I just don't know if that will make me feel rested and ready to take on that, the other aspect of my life. So you can clearly see there is this back and forth between, once you have children, to, at least for me, doing something you love, but you have different interests. Like my children, I love my children, I like being with them. But sometimes I don't because I'm tired out, my tank is empty, and then I'm also not a nice person anymore, so I wouldn't want to be with myself. So that's why I have to really be careful with how I balance my time. So having achieved that book being sent out despite very, very little pockets of time, I have to say it completely changed my idea of how you can make progress. And I encourage you to think about, have you been putting off something because you don't have time? I mean, sometimes really you have a full schedule, there is nothing else. But I noticed that in the past I was trying to, because it was really hard sometimes, to numb myself, to distract myself, to escapism through scrolling my phone, even if it was just a few minutes, it just kind of added up. The screen time recorded on my phone was kind of shocking sometimes. And there was never a time where I just sat there for hours and hours and hours, but it must have just accrued, it added up. And so I think if I could use a small break here and there just to jot down a sketch or even just think about my creative project, when I actually have the time, then I know what to do. Because what have happened in the past, when I suddenly did have surprisingly a bit more time because a child slept longer or they played nicely or whatever, then because I didn't think about it at all, then I didn't know what to do and I wasted time. So I think kind of keeping in mind that even small pockets of time, even just thinking about it, not taking the smallest step possible, just having a thought about this project, then you realize there are small things you can actually do, like loading the files onto your PC or your Mac, or, preparing those layers. Even if sometimes these things are the annoying little bits, but they do take time. And when you suddenly have your time, then you are wasting time because suddenly your laptop has to update or something like this. That happened to me so many times. So point is, if you really want to work on a creative project, but you just feel like you don't have time, try to work on it even 5 minutes, or try to even think about what you'd like to do, and not try to not get frustrated that you can't do it now, but try to already plan it in your mind. And then you might realize that there is actually something you could do right now, even if it's very small. Like I realized for me, one of the main things that kept holding me back was some login details that I didn't have on my laptop. And that's something that maybe I didn't have the creative energy to do something super creative, but I had just about the energy to sort that out. And the next time when I did have time, everything was ready for me to work. And sometimes I just don't have that oomph, that kind of desire to work on a creative project, because it is demanding. I mean, honestly, like using your creative juices is demanding. But there are so many other aspects of working on an artwork, like thinking about the measurements or researching this or that. Sometimes it can be literally done in 5 minutes if you're very effective. So I think, if anything, motherhood taught me how to be more efficient and also how to be gentler with myself. So although it's a balancing act, I feel like I'm getting it a bit better. I'm doing it a bit better. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was short, but I don't want to just leave you completely in the dark of what's happening. And I'm working on a new project, and that makes me happy. So I hope you follow me along for that one too. And please watch my other videos if you haven't already. I have a playlist on my channel about my children's book journey and for my vlogs, etc., etc. Thank you for liking this video. It helps being found in the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.